It's exercises for chapter 3, Bartelt. Remember, you ought to buy the book. Buy the book, do the right thing, and get that book bought. And I'll do a handful of these exercises with you to check to see how you're doing with all the rules. Rule of schwa, add the definite article, cloak and dagger hey. The hey will slide behind the preposition, but it won't slide behind the conjunction wow, and so on and so forth. So let's giddy up and just let's take a look at the document screen real quick. So let's pick up, number 10. See, that's in the lesson itself. If you don't have that one, just go look it up. Let's look at harem real quick. So let's slide over here to the drawing screen and get that going. This is sort of fundamental for that. Let me show you what's happening in this section, right? Resh, Aleph, Ayin, Hey, and Chet. You ought to just recognize this right away. See, and then you've got that. That's supposed to be a bracket. So you've got compensative lengthening here. You've got virtual doubling here. Whoops. Let's just put virtual so that we don't have any. We don't get blocked or something. And then the Segol rule here. And it's this one that we're going to be working on when it comes to this particular problem. So already you should be familiar with the idea of, and I'm going to switch the word I want to use so we don't have too many dots. So when you want to say the king, or when you see this, you're seeing ha plus doubling, and this is the definite article, the king. Defining which king you're talking about, specifying. That's the definite article, define, stuff like that, right? Arthrus. And there's another word that I can't remember when you're talking about definiteness, but it's a rather important thing when you're talking about analysis of a text, right? So you're familiar with that. You're also familiar with the, let me get the Resh Aleph Ayin thing up there again. Excuse me. Resh, Aleph, Ayin, Hey, Chet, right? And the shorthand, compensative lengthening, virtual doubling, and the Segol rule, right? There. That's a Segol. So let's get this one on the board here. So it's harem. No, it isn't harem. What does it say? It says, oh yeah, it is harem. Add the definite article. And I got to get back to my paint. There we go. And this is from the word for mountain or hill. So the hills are alive with the sound of music. We have hills, harem. And you know, we had it like in the lesson for today, for the review for today when I was with my students, and if any of my students are looking, we had that actually come up, is that someone looked at this word like this and misidentified this as the definite article. Well, golly, I'm sorry, but see, here's how analysis ought to work. You ought to take off the eem ending, and you realize you don't have a word resh, yet. And if you take this off and you make that the definite article, you don't have enough letters to make a word here. So that's you have to use analysis tools the best you can. Also, the assignment is add the definite article, so that's not the definite article. So let's add the definite article, and here's how you do it in slow motion. Ha plus doubling, right? Ha plus doubling. Oh, it doesn't double. No way. And the doubling thingy goes over here and takes a look, and well, it's over here. Resh, Aleph, Ayin, Hey, and Het is virtual doubling. But the Segol rule has been invoked, and you have a Hey with an unaccented commates. So what's going to happen an awful lot is that this phenomenon occurs the Segol rule. He-ha-reem, right? And that's the mountains. The hills are alive with the sound of music. So let's look at the next one, huh? Document screen. I practiced my switching. As you know, I had a problem with it last time. Document screen. Tzedakah. Nah. Chokmah. Nah. Ear. Ear. And then the last two. Yeah, let's do 14. Ear. Just to make sure we have that one on the table, right? And I'm going to erase this just for the template's sake. And that was the singular for city, which is just ear. And I'm going to switch over. All right, there we go. I got to figure out a way to monitor better, and I don't know how to do that because I want the screen to be big for me too, right? All right, so I'm going to ha plus double, right? And one thing I want to make sure and do is give you colors. Ha plus doubling, can't do it. Sorry. Resh Aleph Ayin, so that Dagesh turns into a Kamates over here. See? And there's a rule here that needs to be emphasized by repetition. The definite article is not hey. The definite article is ha plus doubling. It's a hey plus a patak plus the doubled first letter to make a closed unaccented syllable at the front end of the word. So it's ha plus doubling. Don't learn the definite article as just the letter hey. It's not good enough to get from a word without a definite article on it to a word with a definite article, because you've got to have this whole process in mind as you're trying to analyze this word, and you've got that happening, and that tells you it's a definite article because of what's coming in the next section. Oh, by the way, I'm going to switch over and just comment in the document screen. Eretz and those are words you just simply need to learn separately with the definite article on them. Eretz goes to haaretz, and goes to ha'am with two kamates. And that's just, you have to, there's no rhyme or reason to it. You just learn it, okay? So let's go into the next thing and finish the point that when you add the preposition lamed, you're going to get the cloak and dagger hey, and you need to be able to see beneath the lamed clues to its definiteness, whether it is a definite noun or not. So in Sefer, for example, the first one, if you add the preposition lamed, it's just l'sefer, to a scroll, right? To a king, verse number 2. To kings, right? 2 or 4 kings. To righteousness, to ground. And see, that's an important one right there. Adama. Now let's do number 5 to see it in the first place, and we're going to keep that thing up there, the guttural chart, just for reference, because it's an important part of this chapter, right? So the ground, right? And we just want to add the preposition. And what happens is you do the lamed schwa thing, and you've got rule of schwa invoked. Except in this case, it won't go to just a hierik like it did in number 3 or in number 4, lim lakim and litzdeka. It's going to go to this corresponding short vowel, the patak, because gutturals prefer a patak. Okay? And so that's the trick about that. And then it gets a little trickier when you start adding the definite article. So Haykal is going to be Haykal. Don't get fooled by that. Going back to the book here, let's take a look. Abadim. We need to do number 7 for the sake of the future problem that comes up. So let's switch back over to that. What is that? Number 7, Abadim. Right. So let's take a look at it in slow-mo. Right. I remember when I was a kid, like in the late 1970s, there was a book in the library on O.J. Simpson, and he was a superstar through the early 70s, athlete, right? And he was a charismatic figure. I mean, as is proven, he went into the movies and all that after football. And the television technology had just developed slow mo, so that it was watchable, because instead of being frame by frame, they had to figure out a way to smooth it down, and they called it super slow mo. And that was the only way to watch O.J. Simpson, was in super slow mo, because it was beautiful, and it was. He was a beautiful runner. It's a shame how all that happens. So, Avadim, when we want to do this, we've got the Reish Aleph Ayin thing invoked. Actually, not, sorry. That's coming with the definite article later, and also the He and the Chet. This is going to have the same phenomenon. It's going to not do the rule of schwa Hirik. It's going to do the rule of schwa. Gentlemen prefer blondes, and the gutturals prefer A vowels, right? So we're reinforcing that with these exercises. So for the future, Ha Melech, Ha Adama. So I'm presuming that you know by now to the cloak and dagger Hey for number 8. Number 9 and number 10 are rather important to help us understand what's going on here. So let's do number 9 and number 10. And that would be, oops. Number 9 is Ha Adama, right? And we're going to analyze it before we work on it. Ha Da Ma. Give it its vowels. Schwa there, key. And here you have a comates, right? Why? Because it's Reish Aleph Ayin. This is, see, so let's just do some stuff. Let's syllabify. Ma. There's a vowel and a consonant, so vowel, consonant. There's a vowel and a consonant, so let's syllabify. There's a half vowel, but it's vocal, right? And then ha. Where's this long patak come from? It's ha plus doubling over here, right? From the Aleph rule, compensative lengthening. Okay. It's my 5-year-old just turned 6 today. He's a 6-year-old today, and if you're hearing the sounds of joy and pleasure and the singing of the birthday song, it's just the exuberance of being 6. Isn't it great? Okay, so we know that this is a definite article. Definite article. So we're going to add the preposition lamed to the ground. Let's give it a different color. Lamed plus schwa. And that won't do. What happens is, instead, is the Hey. Oh, that is not pretty. There we go. The Hey hides behind the lamed, right? And the lamed slides over to take the place of the Hey and hide him. And the schwa has been drugged and passes out on the floor and is dragged into the corner so nobody sees him. And what you have here is a nefarious attempt to get you. You can see the feet of the definite article behind the lamed. And so it's not to a ground, it's to the ground. See now why we add the definite, or we add the you have to do the exercise in order to see it, right? So that you begin to understand just what's happening, right? Get it going in your head. Good. So that's 9. Let's do 10. That one is an odd-looking word. Let's take a look at it on the board here. Get a right color here. Kodesh. And you got to get the, you know that this is an O vowel, right? Okay. Is it dashim? Or is it a schwa again? It's not a schwa again. What is that? It is a comma. It's good. Okay. Kodashim. Let's analyze it real quick. Don't be fooled by things. There's your masculine plural ending, and you have all the consonants you need. 1, 2, 3. All right? So nothing funky going on here. This is just a chet, not a hey. And this is an O vowel. And we want to add the preposition lamed. It's schwa, but here we have rule of schwa invoked. And instead of going into a heroic, it takes the corresponding short vowel, lo chodashim. If you were to try to syllabify, you'd end up with this, and you would say, well, that's a comates. Well, no. There's some sort of virtual thing going on here, and that's that. Okay. Do you want a further explanation? Go to the library, and you'll find some sort of dissertation holding down the shelf at the bottom of some of the basement of the library somewhere. Okay, good. Large, that's good. Let's look at 12, Yehuda, just to make sure we got that one right too. And this one is more, makes more sense, I think, than the last one about the short vowel stuff. Let's take a look at it. So here's the word for Judah. Yehuda. And I'll need to give gifts, give grace to Judah, and they sure do need it because they are very sinful. Right? Rule of schwa, when two schwas do the walking, when two vocal schwas are doing the walking, the first one does the talking as a heroic. And that's true here in this case. However, what you see here is pretty easy, right? This is a mater letter. Mater lectionis, mother of reading. You don't need the schwa anymore. Just get rid of this thing. Dump it. No problem. But see, that's the thing. You reversed engineer it, but now you got to look at that and go, what is that? All right? And then part of the reverse engineering thing is you've got to know that you've got this cadre of prefix prepositions that cause this problem, and they are Beith, with that thing in there. They are Kaf, and they are Lamed. Okay? When you see the front end of a word with a Beith, a comates, or a Lamed, a Kaf, or a Lamed, you need to get suspicion, right? You can't automatically assume, obviously, real words, regular words, start with a Lamed, a Kaf, or a Beith. However, when you have a lot of letters like this in a triliteral root, when you have basically 3 letters per word, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you need to do some work. This is a vowel, this is a vowel, this is a vowel, and you've got something going on with lamed, ha, hey, daleth. Oops, but I forgot this is one of these things, so I need to figure out where's my other letter. Is it a double? Is it a hollow? Is it something? It's the yod from adding this. See, I don't know if you followed that, but it might make an impression for later that when you're trying to read, you've got a lot going on, like the picture of the guy with all the math equations, and that's constantly going on in your head when you're doing these things. Okay, on to the next section. Add the conjunction. Let's take a gander at that. Adding a conjunction isn't too hard. You just wa plus a schwa, and you're going to have the same problems with trying to figure out just what it is you're going to do. Why is it so far over? There. Did I do that by accident? All right. With the schwas and so on and so forth, one of the things you're not going to have, like in number 3, you're not going to have a cloak and dagger hey with the conjunction, so don't worry about that. But 11 and 12 are worth doing because they're kind of tricky. They're testing you to make sure you're not overthinking, and it's late in the season, and you're tired, and you've got some ankle injuries, and you're just not doing well, right? And so you're going to make dumb mistakes. Don't make dumb mistakes here. Number 11 is worth looking at real quick, and that's Yehuda again. I'm going to murder Tyre. I'm going to murder Sidon. I'm going to murder Egypt. I'm going to murder Assyria and Judah. That's basically Amos, right? and Judah. Rule of schwa, right? Except you're not going to have two vocal schwas doing the talking. You're going to have one doing the talking as a hierarch. Same phenomenon. You're going to get that thing, so you just get rid of these dots here. So let's do that. Get rid of these dots, and you get Vihuda. All right, no problem, because you worked on that already. But when you get to Israel, and again, late in the ball game, you're tired. You're dealing with an ankle injury, but you want to play in the game anyway. You're likely to make a dumb mistake, right? Yes, not Yish. Yisrael. And you want to say, and Israel is my beloved, or something like that. And you're going to think, oh man, I got to turn this into rule of schwa. What is this? V'Israel? Yeah, let's do V'Israel here. And you're, and you're going to be wrong. Because there is no rule of schwa being invoked. When you have Yisrael and you add the conjunction, you have a schwa here and you have a hierarch here. There's no rule of schwa, so there's no changes going on. There's a rule of Dave. Stop thinking. There's no thinking allowed in this class. You just kind of stop. When the rule is invoked, you do something, but there's no rule invoked because you never had two schwas to begin with. Right. So continuing on. Let's take a look here. Oh, writing in Hebrew. This is how you do it. When you write in Hebrew, you learn Hebrew. There's no substitute. It's awesome. You should do this. So let's take some time and write in Hebrew. Let's see. Switch over my screen to the drawing screen. Let's keep that rule of gutturals up. Okay, so just go in order. A lot of this is vocab, and you're new to the thing. I'm going to go a lot faster than you can, so you'll have to slow this down and repeat it if you want to really get it down. So the prophet, right? So you start with prophet because that's the basic building block, the foundation of this word. That's close enough, right? Navi. And then you want to make it definite. The prophet. Ha plus doubling. It's number one in the exercises. It's easy. No problem. Ha Navi. Whew. Wipe your brow. You done good. What's the next one? The prophets. All right, so let's make it plural. In fact, let's make sure we're doing it right. So we're going to take off that and let's start with the building block, Navi. And you do it in this order. You take your basic building block, you check for number, and if it's plural, you make it plural first. And then after you make it plural, you check for definiteness. And if it's definite, you add the definite article. And then you check for additions. If you want a preposition, you add the preposition first before conjunction if there's a conjunction needed. The conjunction goes last. So, in this order, the root, noun, right? The number, whether it's definite, whether you need to add a preposition, whether you need to add the conjunction. So let's definiteness this thing, or let's make it plural first, and that means we have pro-Protonic reduction. Let's check that out in slow motion. Here's my that's not that close. There's my syllable, and there's my syllable, right? And then I have a pro-Protonic syllable, an open, unaccented syllable with a long vowel in it. That is going to change into a schwa. So let's get that schwa'd up, which helps us right away. And this is why you do it in this order, by the way. So nivi'im, and now we need to add the definite article. Ha plus doubling. No problem so far. Ha nivi'im. Right? The prophets. To a prophet. Oh, he's going to make us undo it. We're going to save this one because we know it's coming. So we'll put that up there just for future reference. So let's do to a prophet. So we got Navi. Navi. To a prophet. Add the lamed. See, check for number, singular. Check for definiteness, indefinite. So don't add anything. Then you're finished. You add the preposition comes next. To a prophet, right? Okay, good enough. Let's see what he wants us to do next. To the prophet. All right, so let's undo what we just did. And let's make it definite. Ha Navi. The prophet. Now, let's add the preposition lamed. Lamed, yeah, okay. To the prophet, right? It's right there on the board, but we know, because this is chapter 3, that you have the cloak and dagger. Hey, hides behind the lamed. The lamed slides over. The schwa passes out from drug abuse. Someone slipped him a Mickey. Okay. Or if it's Putin's Russia, it was an umbrella filled with ricin. La Navi. That probably just got me flagged. La Navi. La Navi. There we go. See, and the idea is for you to do it yourself so that you begin to see that. There's the feet of the cloak and dagger. Hey. Okay. So what does he want us to do next? To prophets. Prophets. So we've got our prophets up here. So let's take off the definite article. Starting to get tired, sorry. And that would include the dot. Get rid of that dog-ish. To prophets. Okay, so let's add that in. All right, we have rule of schwa being invoked. Lin beam. Right? To some prophets. In English, we have an indefinite article, a, and we also have for the plural some. To some prophets. To prophets. To the prophets. Now it's to the ones that are in the cave because they've been driven out. So let's get rid of that and let's redo that one with the definite article. Ha plus doubling. To the prophets. So let's add the preposition lamed last, or next to last. We're going to check for conjunction later. So we know that the cloak and dagger hey is going to hide behind the preposition. And the preposition is going to slide over, and the schwa is going to get out of sight. Okay? La, ne, vi, im. Wrong thing. All right, so we finished off the prophets, finally. All right, this is going to take forever. Let's go on to 12 and just do it from there, right? Because 12 is really going to get us all the stuff. It's like fully blown. Whew. All right, so let's see what it says. And to the servants. So it's got an all. Let's do it. So first, servant. Servant is a vocabulary word. You know it. Oh, dear, it's a seglet. You know it's a seglet because the accent is here and the segol is in the second syllable. It's a monosyllabic word pretending to be polysyllabic. It's a pretender. So we need to see, we know some things about it, right? So it's plural, servants, even though it's the last thing in the word, a phrase, and to the servants. It's the first thing you need to do to it is add the S, and in Hebrew, you do that with the im ending, right? And because this is a pretender, you don't have any work to do. You just throw on the vowels of a normal looking noun, and that's the schwa and the comates. Except, oh dear, that's a guttural, and gutturals, like gentlemen who prefer blondes, gutturals prefer a vowels. So there you go. You know what? I'm going to do a better job for you than that. Let's scooch that over. There we go. And to the servants. Okay, I think that means we need a the on there, right? That's the next thing we check for. Definite article. Ha plus doubling. Doesn't do it. It's Resh Aleph Ayin. Checking my chart. That's compensative lengthening. And I should have done it that way. Look at there. The servants. Good. And to the servants. So the preposition is next. See how we're kind of reverse engineering the word or the phrase? I'm anticipating something. So let's do that. Okay, we know that that won't work because the hey is going to hide behind the lamed, and the lamed is going to comply, whether by compulsion or by alliance, and they're going to drug the schwa and drag it to the corner where it will disappear. So underneath the lamed, we see the feet of our adversary, the counterintelligence spy, hey, is there, plain as day, if you know what to look for. There's the thing. Okay. Right. So now, and to the servants. What, purple maybe? Yeah. Add the conjunction wow. Oh, and that's it. No, nothing funny. No guttural rules. No rule of schwa rules. Nothing. And to the servants. Look, it's one word written in Hebrew, and to the servants, it's 4 words in English. And that's how Hebrew works. Space compactness, but I think in their language, the way they thought of it, it's compact too. Okay? So that's how you write in Hebrew. Let's take a look at the other things, and let me do a couple tough ones for you. Remember, I want you to buy the book. There's word pairs in here, so like number 8, Yom Valila, day and night. Number 9, morning and evening. Wrong direction. Erev, evening and morning. The righteousness and the wisdom. That's 10. Let's do number 15. Achar haboker hayom. There's a lot of vocab here, but there's a couple of things to look at. We try to start at the end and work our way backwards, and that helps for me. That helps me analyze before I guess, right? If I started in the front, I could probably sort of feel my way through it, but I haven't analyzed. If I take the time to analyze, then I can do the sentence and know I'm correct. So hayom, I see ha plus doubling. My vocab I've got up here. I know yom is day, the day. Same thing with haboker. I can see a segalit, because I see the segol in the second syllable with the accent moved over another syllable with the ha plus doubling again. See, the ha plus doubling is a nice little flag. You don't even have to think about it after a while. So the morning, the day, achar is another vocabulary word. Let's put it together in order. After the morning, the day. You know, that really is good enough. But that asterisk there, beside the number 15, tells you that you want to try to make it Englishy with some sort of a nominal sentence thingy, meaning throw in a to be verb there, copulate it, right? After the morning is the day. Let's see if it works with an is in another place. After is the morning the day. No. See, and that's the thing about this. Do you really need to add is? Yeah, so that English speakers can understand what you're saying, because you sound like caveman then. Go kill animal, eat, have woman later. You know, we want to use decent flowing English. After the morning is the day. And there you go. Well, those are exercises for you. Hope you had a little more help there. And just by reviewing it with me, you could kind of develop sort of, what do you call those, beats? How do you want to do this? How do you want to proceed when you're thinking through the language? That's how I do it. The analysis of the word, and the idea is to reverse engineer so that you can go faster when you're reading, right? Because you're constantly reverse engineering in Hebrew, and it'll come to you. Just keep after it. You have to do it day after day after day. Dr. James Veltz I would consider him a friend and a teacher of mine back in the olden days of the 90s. Would talk about teaching language, especially these biblical languages, as sometimes students just don't get it at first. But if you just keep hammering away at it and take your 60s and take your, when you take the quiz and you get a 60 on it, just take them, right? Take your beating. It's like watching bread in a toaster. Some students are like that, where it's just like, it's white, it's white, it's white, it's never going to toast. And then all of a sudden, bing, it's done. Boom, and it pops up and it's done. Some people learn like that. Some people, it's all up in there. It's not congealing. It's not, and then all of a sudden, whoop, and they start making hundreds on their quizzes and never miss another thing through the most difficult parts of the language. It's frustrating, I know, if you're not getting it yet, but keep hammering away at it. Just hammer, right? What's another way of a coal face, right? Richard Burton tells the story of his father, who was a master coal miner back in the last days of pre-machinery coal mining, and he could, without being able to see, he could feel the face of the coal, the vein, right? That kind of is a ribbon that goes through the whole earth, and it kind of comes up in Wales, England, right? And he could feel it with his thumb, and he would mark the spot, and then he would take with a pickaxe, and with one blow, the whole thing would come tumbling down, and it was a minimum of work for a maximum of production, so to speak. It's that when the whole thing comes down, that's when you know you've got it, right? Everything just sort of falls into place. Aha, right? You can't do that without just hammering and hammering and hammering and getting to that spot in the coal face, the face of the coal vein. Once you get to that spot, but you can't get there without all the work of digging and hammering and chiseling, right? So I encourage you thus, and I hope you develop a love for this language as much as I love it. And pretty soon you'll be reading the Psalms and the prophets and just marveling at the genius that is biblical words, biblical literature there. All right. Take care.